Yeah, so we say welcome. Welcome to Messengers, a show that introduces you to African arts and artists all over the world that touch our lives in a very special way. I am your host, Oyiza. The art of sculpturing is a three-dimensional work created by shaping hard or plastic material such as wood, metal, or stone into figures that tell a story or depict a message. This age-old art form is based on most traditional African religion, where the chief priests of the deities at the time created figurines of what they said looked like their gods and offered them to the natives of the land. From the beginning of the 50s, the Shona art has been one of the most recognized art forms in the world. First-generation artists such as Bernard Matamara had no formal training and considered the Shona art as a spiritual form, so they gleaned their inspiration from dreams and observations. Bernard Matamara said, "The spirits are everywhere, in the air, in the rocks. A rock is like a fruit, like an orange or a banana. You don't eat them without peeling it first. It needs to be opened to be eaten. I open the rocks. The fruit is inside."
This is Chinua Achebe. You are watching Messengers.
Now, a whole lot of Nigerians may be surprised to learn that this next artist has been living in the midst for the last 30 years and then some. As a matter of fact, since 1975. Now, through his sculptures and other works, Anatsui has gained international recognition. We set out to the southeastern town of Nsukka to meet the man behind the name. Come with us. In southeastern Nigeria, Nsukka is home to the country's first civilian president, the late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, as well as the country's federal university, the University of Nigeria. Since 1975, Nsukka has also been home to one of the greatest sculptors of all time, the great Anatsui. I'm sitting here with Anatsui, artist extraordinaire, sculptor.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again.
Yeah.
What is behind this name? Anything? Anything we should know?
There is nothing actually behind it for me.
Right.
It's just a name.
Okay.
Yeah. Except the first one, which is something. This is my last name, and this is is a name that I gave myself.
What informed moving to Nigeria, and why did you stay?
Well, when I came, I was young, and then I had learned a lot about, or seen a lot about what was happening on the art scene in Nigeria. And then somebody incidentally just brought me an advert, from the university here. He was my teacher and came as an external examiner here, and then came back with the advert. And I said, why not? He said the professor in charge specifically wanted me to see the advert and know whether I'm interested. And I applied. And it took about maybe a year or two. I had forgotten about my having made an application. Then one day I got this letter. And I said, it was the registered letter, and I said, who can be sending money to me? Because those days, a registered letter means somebody is sending you money. So I quickly went to the post office, got it and opened it, and I said, wow, we are happy to offer you appointment as a lecturer in the University of Nigeria. I said, wow. So quickly I arranged and made a fast visit here to see the place. And said, yeah, it's a place that I would love to stay in.
Tell us about your art and how it's evolved over the years from the time you started to where you are now.
Our training in the art school was more like along Western lines.
Right.
Where we weren't quite introduced to art as obtained in our own environment, given that most of our teachers were from Europe. Yeah, there were quite a few, just a few Ghanaians, and therefore the orientation was that way, you know. And so when I met this cloth, I was very excited about them, and this had been the beginning point of my explorations into art, sculpture in particular. When I started working with these trays, I found out they became very, very popular. People could relate with them because these are things they see in the
Every day.
in the market, you know, and then all of a sudden they are seeing them as backdrop for an artwork, so they could relate to it. And I was very surprised that I could count among my collectors just anybody, an ordinary teacher, or you know, not big rich people.
Right.
You know,
it was also affordable.
yes, it was affordable. You know, that's what happens if you work with what is around you, because the cost input will be less, and therefore you'll be able to sell at fairly accessible prices.
Right. How does age affect your work? So contribute or enhance your work? Because most of what I've seen are like pretty old, ancient, archaic,
Used.
call it used,
Overused.
battered, you know, but it works for you. So how does that enhance?
I guess my aging has some reflection, or is parallel to the kind of material that I've used. Because when I was younger, then working with these trays, new trays, freshly carved. But now I don't think I would want to work with any newly produced, you know, object, or you know, something like I want to work with things which are very old. You know, I'm old, so work with old things, and old things certainly have a lot of history behind them. You know, and that history is what most of the times informs what I do, or gives meaning to what I do. Like the bottle tops that I'm using now, which I've seen a lot of human use. You've seen the number of people helping me, and the number of people who have held these bottle tops when they were covering drinks and then opening them and all that.
And throwing them away, and
yes.
you picking them up.
Yeah, all those have some meaning. And in any case, drinks, the bottle tops I use are from liquor. Liquor has a very important role in the triangular trade between Africa, America, and Europe in those days, which I'm sure you know.
Right.
You know.
Transatlantic trade.
So working with them, you know, gives me this freedom to play around with a very serious element, you know, that was brought into our environment.
Would you agree that you promote, you know, not alcoholism, but you promote drinking, you know, because what you use is discarded material from alcohol, you know, or from these bottles?
No, I think it's the other way around. The drinking promotes my work.
You've had very, very, very successful exhibitions, you know, all over the world. Which would you say you have the most fondest memories of?
I think the Venice Biennale in 1990. You know, when I was young and in art school, I read about Venice Biennale and what it means, you know, to an artist, and I thought it's something that was unattainable. And I was very surprised, you know, when one day I had the invitation to contribute to the Venice Biennale. You know, the invitation came rather late, about I think 3 months to the show. You know, the Biennale is something that most artists would have prepared for in 2 years.
Right.
Yeah, but
It's like the Oscars of the arts.
yes.
Right.
But here we were about 5 of us being invited 3 months to, you know, so we were in the US when the invitation came, and we had to rush back. and start doing fresh work for it, you know. And we're able to produce things which two of us, Bruce Onobrakbea and about 3 Zimbabwean sculptors and me, we were able to produce enough interesting or engaging work to win one of the runner-up prizes, the special prizes. Yeah, so we didn't just go to participate, we got a prize.
That's great.
Yes.
How long did it take to set this up, one? And, you know, how do you recruit the people that work for you? Are they your students, or are they people that are just interested in the art?
Yeah, young men working with me are all from around here.
Okay.
Yeah, they are just from me. When you called me from Enugu, I called them, one of them, and asked him to, because they had come and worked for the day and gone.
So this is the means of livelihood here, is it?
I should say for the meantime, they actually people who have finished secondary school and are waiting to take their university entry exam. So whilst waiting for that, they help me.
Are most of them, are they looking to
none of them is looking at doing fine art. Right. They're thinking about things like computer studies,
and there's no way you can influence that.
No, you don't influence people. You know, you have to come by their own conviction.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we're speaking with El Anatsui. It's getting dark, and
it's dark.
Yes, we have to round this session up, but we'll continue again tomorrow. We have one more day here in Nsukka, and tomorrow we head out to Enugu and catch a flight out back to Abuja. But it's been great, and thank you so much again for your time. We look forward to tomorrow.
You're welcome.
Okay, great. Another day back at the workshop. We're back at the studio. It's not a workshop. I have to keep correcting myself. Elle has to keep correcting me. It's a studio. So we're back at the studio. And it's our last day here. And as you can tell, the boys are there already. So let's get to work. Good morning. El Anatsui is today recognized as one of the foremost contemporary artists of his generation, taking broad spectrums of indigenous African cultures as extended canvases. His central themes concern the erosion of these inherited traditions. His deftly organized and sophisticated work represent an original synthesis of many diverse histories of African art. Anatsui's preferred media are clay and wood, which he uses to create objects based on traditional Ghanaian beliefs and other subjects. He has cut wood with chainsaws and blackened it with akantine. Some of his works resemble woven cloths, such as the kente cloth, the traditional Ghanaian cloth.
Waste paper baskets, because they're made out of something that is used in printing newspapers and obituary notices. Yeah, this time I went to printers in town and asked them to let me have plates that they wouldn't use again. And then they gave me so much. Yeah, and then I came back and saw that most of them are about obituary. you know, we celebrate funerals here a lot, and so a lot of people have to be informed. And so these printers do a lot of work with this material. So when I came back and I started looking at them, it dawned on me that these plates are saying a lot. You know, in the first place, they are doing a lot of demographic profile of the place, because it's talking about so and so is dead and he's survived by so and so number of children, and even you notice the age at which the fellow died is very short.
I see some of them. I can actually read some of the inscriptions.
Yeah, it's possible to see some of the
transition to glory.
Yeah.
There's a toast.
Mm-hmm.
There
are so many other things here. We decided to mix
the good
life and death.
Life,
you know,
and death.
This is congratulating somebody. This is transition, and there will be some.
I see a baby just born somewhere. There's a voucher.
Yes.
Do these people know you're working with their lives like this?
well, what I do is to make sure that I treat it like statistics. Statistics, you are not about the particulars, but about the figures. So all I do is to try and get out as much of information, specific information about the people as possible, as much as possible, and leave out only the maybe dates of birth and blah 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 and those. Yeah. That's how we treat it.
All right.
Yeah.
Elle is just one of the many thousands of artists in Africa that hear the sound of tomorrow's creativity and bring it alive in the Africa of today, using slices of our everyday lives and pieces of our history. For one whose works have spanned the globes, from the Venice Biennale to the world's most respected galleries and museums in Latin America, Asia, and Europe, Elle lives a very simple life. From Nsukka, peace and love. On Saturday, August 25th, 2007, while walking around downtown Amsterdam, enjoying my last and only non-working day in the city, I came across a celebration of sorts. I may as well have been in the heart of Accra. The air was rich with history and culture reflected in the gold and the kente. Between the rush of excitement simply triggered by being amongst my people, the colorful clothing and the vibrant spirits, the music and the drums, the singing and the dancing, between me jumping straight into the scene with so little time to capture as much of the moment as I possibly could, between it all, I forgot to ask anyone what the celebration was all about. But by the time the music was fading behind me, it wouldn't matter anyway. It was beautiful. It was all good.
Anatsui is getting ready to do the Adwa dance for us. Nanano, Yeresono, Nananu Yasa, a kawa kuma nana, Badawama, Namuina, Namasa, Namusuma, Atai Asanechi. Nana Amwate Ampadu. Nana Ampadu.
Where is Dan? Yay! The man of the hour.
Small. That canal street is like a small Nigeria too. Every day people are pushing cars, selling you shit you don't want, looking you over and down, hustling, fighting for 12, 14 hours. But at the end of the day, you are so tight and we are so loose. Pushing cars, selling you shit you don't want, looking you over and down, hustling, fighting for 12, 14 hours. But at the end of the day, you are so tight and we are so loose. You know, I see you on your subways, you're clutching coffee, trying to read the newspaper, so tired, so tired. Then you get off, you go to a yoga class. Then you get back on the subway, you're tired. But you know, one day, Dan, he puts down that newspaper and goes to one of the places inside the newspaper, a place called Africa. Okay, you might have seen it before, eh? Yeah. Okay. Probably in the 5th grade. Yeah. It is still there. Yeah. Okay. So then he goes to West Africa here. Okay, that's a part that white people don't normally go. You know, there's so much love in East Africa, South Africa. There are so many animals, plenty of whites. No. In Nigeria, we kill off all the animals and the white
Totally enjoyed having Anatsui, the great Anatsui, on the show. I love his works, totally making something out of nothing, and that is creativity at its core. I'm your host, Oyiza. We hope to see you again next week, and as they say in Ibira land, at the job.